Gospel Community Leaders, we jump into part 5 of the Jesus in His Own Words series this week. The sermon was titled Seeing with Compassion. The main thing this week is we love God and we love our neighbors by loving the gospel, by sharing the gospel. That's how we do that. So one announcement, members, save the date. We have a members meeting for June the 22nd. Again, this is the third week in a row we've announced this, but it should be coming out on the city this week, which will be opportunity for people to volunteer to bring things to that members meeting, but they need to save the date for June the 22nd at 1 p.m. and they need to be aware that it's going to be released or that information is going to be made available, and people can RSVP and volunteer to bring things on the city this week. Okay, so we're going to start with the first things first question. You're free to skip this. Again, the three main things we want to touch on every time we meet is personal, community, and missional. But we have that first things first question available there as well if you want to address it. We'll go through the Good Samaritan passage, parable, and you can talk about any thoughts or questions or takeaways people had on Sunday morning. Personal question. We're going to start with sharing our stories and how important this can be, or how good of a way this can be to share the gospel with others in our lives. And so what I'd like you to do is make your group heads up about this before the group. So if that's done by email or text or post to the city, heads up about this question so they can come prepared to answer that, to speak about their story, the circumstances, the situation, the people that played a role in God opening their eyes to see Him as supremely valuable, to God creating faith or generating faith in their lives in Jesus Christ. And so that is the personal question. We'll have the community question. This one's going to be very, very important that we articulate the gospel well here, because we're going to be talking about Christ-like compassion. We're going to be looking at the Good Samaritan who does so many good deeds here as he bandages up this man who's been beaten and robbed, as he pays for his care, as he carries him on his own donkey. Just so many acts of kindness. But what's important and what's great about the gospel, why it's so beautiful and why it's so countercultural and so different from anything else that the world has to offer, is that the gospel says we do these things, these acts of compassion, not to earn God's favor or to earn the favor of men or to earn our own favor from ourselves. We do these things as a response of worship to what God has already done, what Jesus has already accomplished on the cross. And so if we get those wrong, if we get those in the wrong order, then we shoulder the weight and the guilt of having to act like the Good Samaritan. And we can't do it. Not only do we neglect the power that is ours to accomplish that, but we also weight ourselves down in the guilt and in the rat race of having to do more and accomplish more, and that is not the gospel. The gospel says Jesus died for you. Jesus was a neighbor to you. Jesus was compassionate to you beyond anything that you could ever even imagine or comprehend. Okay? And now He has saved you in spite of who you are. He has unconditionally chosen His children, saved His children, extended compassion, and been a wonderful neighbor, an infinitely beautiful neighbor to His children. He has saved us. There's nothing more we can do to make Him love us more. There's nothing we can do to make Him love us less, but we worship Him for what He's done. And the Bible is very clear that what that worship looks like is to do kind things for others, to act compassionately towards others, to proclaim the gospel to others. That's what that worshipful response looks like. That's not what earns us a relationship with God, but it's what the response to a relationship with God looks like. And so that's very, very important. So we're going to read through several passages in order, and kind of the question is going to be, how do these passages build off of each other? So we want our gospel community group members to be able to articulate that the good deeds and the compassion that we do for others comes as a response to what Jesus has already done for us. We act out of that, not to earn that. And so that's very, very important about the community question. And then the missional question is going to be one we've hit on several times, and we're going to keep hitting on it as long as the Bible keeps telling us to hit on it, and we just can't get away from it. And that is what Josh talked about. Who are the one or two people in your life that are lost, that are without Christ? And if you don't have anyone in your life who is lost and without Christ, how are you going to get those type of people into your life? And if you do have those people in your life, how very practically and specifically are you going to have opportunities to share the gospel with them? If you are sharing the gospel with them, then what are the stories? What's happening? What is God doing in that? So those are our questions this week. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to be praying for you all this week that God does great things as a whole for the body of Christ at Redemption Church, that we would love the gospel, love God, love our neighbors, and that would evidence itself in us being people who share the gospel with those around us. Thanks so much, guys.